Oh, um, Cardi B and Candace Owens. I don't know if you guys are following this story or followed that whole Twitter spat. Candace Owens. Well, first and foremost, Cardi B sat down with Joe Biden. This is the first time that she sat down with a major political figure. And me and LeClerc, I think we debated this on like another podcast many moons ago. But she sat down with Joe Biden. They had a conversation, and Candace Owens basically came out and said it's an insult to Black people everywhere that the Democrats would choose Cardi B to have a conversation with about political issues, et cetera, et cetera. They went back and forth. Candace had, said what she said. Cardi B said what she said. My question is, I don't really care about the whole back and forth. It was whatever. But my question is, does Candace have a point? And again, LeClerc, I think I know your answer to this because it was similar with the Bernie situation. But does she have a point about saying that the Democrats are basically insulting Black people by choosing to sit with Cardi B and have an informed conversation about political issues?
This is a great back and forth. I don't know how much of it you got to watch, Justin, but I've done a little bit of research on it, and I was realizing, listening and reading their tweets and listening to their rants on Instagram, that Cardi B and Candace Owens, they both win in their respective arenas. So
yeah,
like
100%.
Yeah, so remove like all of their pedigrees, remove all their accolades. If you put those two in a cafeteria with Cardi B's peers and let them talk about politics however you want to talk about politics, even with Candace's background, even with how articulate she is, and even with how studied she is, Cardi B will body her. She will body her. She's like, Cardi B, you like to talk about how dumb she is, but she's not dumb. She just speaks a different language. And the people who speak that language identify with her. Whereas if you take Cardi B and put her on Candace Owens' podcast and have her speaking about in detail about issues that is within Candace's arena, it's not going to look good for Cardi B either. And I also listen to Candace Owens, and she's right about a lot of the talking points that she's bringing up. But at the end of the day, Cardi B has every right, like every American does, to voice her opinion on political issues as long as she is a tax-paying American. So it was a great back and forth, but I do think that it's important to have more of those conversations with people that we take interest in.
You know what's funny? I looked at all of the people who tagged or who talked about the battle between the two of them, and everyone who was associated with right or conservatives or whatever was like, the headline was Candace Owens destroys Cardi B.
Right.
And everybody who hates Candace Owens, the headline was Cardi B drags Candace Owens. It was just like, it wasn't even, so you're right. You're absolutely right. They both win in their perspective. I don't think anybody lost any followers or lost any grounds. Like, if anything, right. Candace Owens, I know she gained a bunch of new followers. And I don't know if Cardi B's, what her followers went up or down or whatever, but they both basically won in their respective realms. And Candace has a book coming out. So that's just a dub.
Because of course she has a book coming out.
Of course.
Why else would you be talking about Cardi B and starting a beef with Cardi B unless you had something to promote?
I don't blame it. I don't blame her. I mean, it's America. Everybody's. I don't believe any of these mofos when they come out and do whatever they do. I don't believe any of them. I don't believe any of their sincerity. I mean, sure, they might be sincere in certain aspects, but it's all a circus. It's all for some other gain. So when I see stuff like that, I'm just like, yeah, of course she has a book coming out. But yeah, I think you're right. Cardi has a right, just like any other American citizen, to say how she feels and speak how she feels. And if Joe Biden wants to sit with her, and that's who Joe Biden wants to sit with. I think it's up to us as voters or as Black people or whatever to stop being so damn vulnerable to who whichever presidential candidate or whichever politician wants to sit down with one of our celebrities. I personally don't give a damn what celebrity they choose to sit with, because a celebrity's opinion or who they vote for or whatever they want to say has no bearing on my personal choice and who I decide to vote for. I go and seek my own information and I go and seek my own knowledge, and I don't look at Cardi B or whoever to be my moral compass when I'm in the voting booth. But
Also,
I mean,
go ahead, Justin.
And also, who is Joe Biden supposed to speak to that has legitimacy with audiences that might not be engaged in politics? I think it's a good thing for him to be doing, to reach out to someone like her. It's like LeClerc says, like she speaks she's actually really knowledgeable about politics. She's actually like memorized like all of the presidents and so, like she actually knows like a lot of like history and historical events. But people just assume that because she speaks a certain way or she has a certain accent that she's not intelligent. I like her. I like her. She shows that someone that speaks in a certain way can still be engaged with politics and politicians, and she exposes them to a wider audience. So it's good for Joe Biden for sitting down with her too. I mean, if you want to show that you're not like a rigid, out of touch 80-year-old man, sitting down with Cardi B can help, you know.
I think he's still a rigid, out of touch 80-year-old man, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I agree.
He will always be those things. I think for me, what was most insulting about Candace Owens and her approach to Cardi B having this conversation was that like she was kind of looking at Cardi B's audience and speaking to them like, we don't know what to expect out of that conversation, or we don't know what to expect out of Cardi B. Like, we know Cardi B better than we know Joe Biden, for that matter, right? We've seen her talk. We know what she's about. She's about that WAP. So why would she assume that we have no idea what to expect from a Cardi B, Joe Biden conversation? Yeah, also, it's going to be silly. It's going to be ridiculous. She's going to talk about the things that matter to Cardi B, but that doesn't mean there won't be any substance in that conversation.
Yeah, Cardi B has a more responsible response to coronavirus than the actual administration. If you watch Cardi B's Instagram, she was yelling about y'all need to take this coronavirus seriously, like in what, February?
Yeah, and she was like very persistent about it. She didn't downplay it.
Yeah. Cardi B is actually more qualified. As I say, it's all like, if we, I mean, we know that she has some whatever, but she was right about coronavirus. She might as well be head of the World Health Organization now.
Yeah.
I just saw that, I don't know if you saw this, but Killer Mike, he sat down with the governor of Georgia to talk about, talk about small businesses and what coronavirus has had an effect on small businesses. And he's getting a lot of backlash from like liberals and stuff like that for talking with the governor, especially after the whole controversy with Stacey Abrams and everything like that, voter suppression and everything like that. Do you think that they have a point with giving him flack for talking to him, or is he, I'm gonna give you my opinion. I think the governor is the person in charge, and Killer Mike has a right to talk to the person in charge about issues that is affecting him and affecting his community if he chooses to. Like, what is he supposed to do? Bitch on Twitter all day about it? Like, I don't, like, do people get upset when Kim Kardashian goes into the White House and tells Don to let black people out of jail and then he does it? No. So like, I don't get upset when Killer Mike goes and talks to whoever he wants to talk to. He has a right to talk to whoever he wants to talk to, Republican, Democrat, whatever. But what do you guys think?
I think Killer Mike is more than qualified to talk to anybody about politics, especially in his home state.
Right.
Killer Mike is not no Bobo to fool. He is well studied. He's well researched. He knows his rights. He also understands the function of government. So if anybody's attacking Killer Mike for having this conversation with the government, I pose to you this question: who better than Killer Mike? Who would you rather go in his stead? T.I.? What are we talking about? Like, Killer Mike is perfectly qualified to have a conversation. And if the suggestion being made is that Killer Mike doesn't owe him the time, then that's also ridiculous too. Like, we have to stop pretending like government isn't important. We have to stop pretending like political figures aren't important. We have to stop pretending that our votes don't matter. So you can be mad at the president all you want. That doesn't mean that you don't talk about the president's issues, because those are your issues. You can be mad at the governor all you want, but being mad and turning your back to him isn't going to get your store reopened. Isn't going to get the quarantine stopped. It's not going to get this whole pandemic in order. So like this whole idea of just be mad and have a fuss and don't talk to people is such a dumb approach to a crisis.
Yeah. And people also need to realize, instead of getting mad at what other people are doing, they should also realize they can like do stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you know, in that time that you spent to draft up that condemnation, maybe you could just like go read to a kid.
Well, they probably tweeted something.
Yeah, there's a lot of mad guys on the internet that like, oh, child support. I'm like, go pay your child support.
Yeah.
That's what I think about. What I can do every day. I think about, that's why I don't get mad on the internet anymore.
That sounds like a resolution.
That's why I'm marrying Candace Owens. So I could talk bad about black people and make money.
That's why I don't get mad on the internet anymore. Is my comedy album title, actually.
I thought about what I can do. I'm really not your Negro anymore, and it's just me and Candace Owens.
I'm not gonna lie, man. Because like I said, I'm not a Crip or a Blood. I don't bang either side. I don't care about liberals or conservatives that much. So I watch it all like it's the final season of America. And so when Candace Owens like says something, like I don't melt down and go and have a seizure. I just kind of like.
She's not a conservative. She's an opportunist.
Yeah, well, I sit back. I go, yeah, you're right. No, I sit back and I go, all right, what is she going to entertain us? What slop is she going to entertain us with today? And with every person, I don't care who it is, every person with a huge following like that is not just because they're saying all bullshit. It's they're saying bullshit, but they're sandwiching it and mixing it in with stuff that you actually agree with sometimes. You're like, oh, that's a good point. Oh no, that's terrible. It's like when she wants to be sound sane, she can, and then it's like, bam, off the deep end. Like I follow her formula, and it's the same as Trump. It's the same as any provocateur. It's the same as any person who, you know, any shock jock. It's like political shock jock.
She's the black Ann Coulter. It's like she gets away with saying all the stuff that Ann Coulter would actually get in trouble for. Yeah. She gets in trouble for saying all the stuff that Ann Coulter thinks about every day.
Reasonable people are not entertaining. Like, I think we have to stop expecting people who are paid to be talking heads to also speak reason, like to be the voice of reason or to say something that people are going to agree with. It's like her job isn't to be agreeable. Her job is to incite. Her job is to say things that are inflammatory. And that's how she makes her bread and butter, right? Every time she goes after a celebrity, it's because she says some wild shit about them. So this expectation of Candace Owens like saying something that's sensible and like getting black people to agree with her, that's not her brand. Her brand is to get people upset. So yeah, let's stop asking a dog to meow like a cat. That's not what dogs do.
Nah, yeah, and that's a good spot. I thought about that, to get in that spot. The black person that talks bad about black people for all white audiences spot.
It's lucrative.
It's lucrative.
It's wide open.
That sheriff got his hats got nicer when he was talking bad about us. That one, what's his name? Sheriff Clark.
Yep.
He's always like, I would have shot him 8 times in the back. And the next time he's on TV, that hat's real nicer. Jesse Lee Peterson.
Listen, I can't allow disrespect on Jesse Lee. He's a national treasure, and he's made me laugh many a time.
Jesse Lee.
Amazing.
Lee, oh, he's incredible. Like Sean Hannity's like, and now Jesse Lee Peterson, he's like, these black people should still be slaves, Sean. And he's like, thank you, Jesse.
I could go on, I'm not even gonna lie, I could go on a day binge of Jesse Lee Peterson savage clips.
And I just want to say, because I think it's important to say I'm not one of these people that thinks that just any black person with a different opinion than me is a sellout. Like, I don't think Colin Powell's a sellout. I don't think Condoleezza Rice is a sellout.
Yeah.
I like even someone like Ben Carson. Maybe I'll just be like, this is a person with a different point of view. There's a difference between being black and conservative and Republican. Like Michael Steele is awesome. I like that guy. And then there's like performative agreeing with the Ku Klux Klan to show that you're smarter than all other black people.
Right.
It's two different things.
Yeah.